have questions? This is a public hearing to petition the airport, the Bureau of Aeronautics, for funds to crack seal or crack fill and for a PAPI system, a precision approach path indicators lighting system, and for a beacon and a beacon tower. We are not considering the beacon and beacon tower when it comes to voting at the end. We're not interested in doing that right now. It just would be on the petition. And petition states, whereas the town of Palmyra, Jefferson County, Wisconsin, hereinafter referred to as the sponsor, being a municipal body corporate of the state of Wisconsin, is authorized by the Wisconsin Statute 114.11 to acquire, establish, construct, own, control, lease, equip, improve, maintain, and operate an airport. And whereas the sponsor desires to develop or improve the Palmyra Municipal Airport, Jefferson County, Wisconsin. Whereas airport users have been consulted in formulation of the improvements included in this resolution, and whereas a public hearing was held, which is what we are doing now, prior to the adoption of this petition in accordance with Wisconsin Statute 114.33, parent 2, as amended, and a transcript of the hearing is transmitted with this petition, and therefore be it resolved by the sponsor that a petition for federal and or state aid in the following form is hereby approved. The petitioner desiring to sponsor an airport development project with federal and state aid or state aid only in accordance with the applicable state and federal laws respectfully represents and states, number one, that the airport which is desired to develop should generally conform to the requirements for a general aviation type airport as defined by the Federal Aviation Administration. Number two, the character, extent, and kind of improvements desired under the project are as follows: crack fill and seal coat airport pavements, install precision approach path indicators, PAPI, install airport beacon and beacon tower, and any necessary related work. That the airport project which your petitioner desires to sponsor is necessary for the following reasons to meet the existing and future needs of the airport. Whereas it is recognized that the improvements petition for this listed will be funded individually or collectively as funds are available, with specific project costs to be approved as work is authorized, the proportionate cost of the airport development projects described above, which are to be paid by the sponsor to the Secretary of the Wisconsin Department of Transportation, hereinafter referred to as the Secretary, to be held in trust for the purposes of the project. Any unneeded and unspent balance after the project is completed is to be returned to the sponsor by the Secretary. The sponsor will make available any additional monies that may be found necessary upon request of the Secretary to complete the project as described above. The Secretary shall have the right to suspend or discontinue the project at any time additional monies are found to be necessary by the Secretary and the sponsor does not provide the same. In the event the sponsor unilaterally terminates the project, all reasonable federal and state expenditures related to the project shall be paid by the sponsor. And whereas the sponsor is required by Wisconsin Statute 114.32, parent 5, to designate the Secretary as its agent to accept, receive, receipt for, and disperse any funds granted by the United States under the Federal Airport and Airway Improvement Act, and is authorized by law to designate the Secretary as its agent for other purposes. Therefore, designation of Secretary of Transportation as sponsor's agent. Therefore, be it resolved by the sponsor that the Secretary is hereby designated as its agent and is requested to agree to act as such in matters relating to the airport development project described above, and is hereby authorized as its agent to make all arrangements for the development and final acceptance of the completed project, whether by contract, monies, agreement, force account, or otherwise. In particular, to accept, receive, receipt for, and disperse federal monies or other monies, either public or private, for the acquisition, construction, improvement, maintenance, and operation of the airport. and to acquire property or interest in property by purchase, gift, lease, or eminent domain under Wisconsin Statute 32.02, and to supervise the work of any engineer, appraiser, negotiator, contractor, or other person employed by the Secretary, and to execute any assurances or other documents required or requested by any agency of the federal government, and to comply with all federal and state laws, rules, and regulations relating to airport development projects. Further, the sponsor requests that the Secretary provide, per Wisconsin Statute 114.33, Parent A, that the sponsor may acquire certain parts of the required land or interest in land that the Secretary shall find necessary to complete the aforesaid project. Airport owner assurances. And be it further resolved that the sponsor agrees to maintain and operate the airport in accordance with certain conditions established in Wisconsin Administrative Code Trans 55, or in accordance with sponsor assurances enumerated in a federal grant agreement. So the projects we're looking at, we have estimates given to us by the Bureau of Aeronautics. For the crack filling, they estimated between $21,000 and $25,000. Our share of that is 5%, or roughly $1,500. The PAPI system is estimated to cost between $80,000 and $100,000, and our share of that would be $4,000 to $5,000. Does anybody have any comments about what we're doing?
I'd just like to point out it's the airport share. It's not the town's money. It's not taxpayer money. It's the town. The airport has money it collects from leases on the hangar rentals and that, and they rent. The airport rents out their hangar that they own. The airport has its own money to pay their 5%. That's not covered by the grant money. There's no town taxpayer money that's involved to pay any of this.
Chris, you want to explain the PAPI system?
That's what I was going to ask David.
David, would you?
Yeah, basically the PAPI system is a 4-light system that would be either situated on the left or the right side of the approach end of a runway. And then the 4-light system turns white to red, and it tells you where you're at as far as the glide slope down to the runway. So if you have 2 white ones and 2 red ones, then you're right on the glide slope 3%. You won't hit anything, and you know that you'll end up at the touchdown point of the runway. If you end up with 3 red and a white, then that tells you you're a little low. If you have 3 white and 1 red, it tells you you're a little bit high. And that's what you use it for, is approaching into the runway. And it's a landing guidance. It's a landing guidance for the glide slope, not left and right, but vertical guidance. And it's specifically beneficial for VFR pilots at night especially. Daytime, yes, but especially at nighttime, because it helps, especially when it's really, really dark. You can still see that you're on the glide path and know, okay, I'm lined up at the runway and I'm on the glide path, so I shouldn't hit any trees or houses or anything like that. So it's really a safety thing.
Are the lights on all the time?
No, the lights actually come on with the runway lights.
Activated.
Yeah, pilot controlled lighting, and they come on whenever you turn the runway lights on. That's
When do the runway lights come on?
Yeah,
Activate them with
yeah, pilot controlled. You key
pilot
it.
keys are.
Yeah. You key it with the radio, and then they come on, and then they stay on for, and I don't know what the duration's set for. Is it 5 minutes or?
No, I think it's 5.
Okay. There's a time delay that you put in it, and so they stay on for that long, and then they go out by
As
themselves.
long as the runway lights are on, the system will be on. When the runway lights go off, this will go off also.
Right.
I'd like to back up to Larry's comment about, the town versus the airport, and I guess it goes back to the same, I don't know if you call it an argument that we've had in the past where, well, the airport is owned by the town, but yet you guys seem to say, well, it's not taxpayer dollars. It's owned by the town. So, clear this up for me. I don't.
According to the state of Wisconsin, airport funds stay with the airport. The truck that's owned by the airport is not to be driven on the road. It's not supposed to be licensed.
Understood.
Because it's owned by the airport. Any monies generated by the airport are exclusively for airport use. You can't, the airport equipment is belonged by the airport. You can't use it for anything else. It's not paid for by the taxpayers. There's no taxpayer dollars that have gone into it for the things that we're doing
Yet, to date,
to date.
yeah. But now aren't we on the hook though as the town, because we're the owners of the airport, for grant assurances?
We're on the hook for that, and we have been ever since day one.
Yes.
Because land is obligated forever.
Okay.
So that land is obligated forever. Our hangar that we just built is obligated for 20 years. And most buildings are considered 20-year obligations. But with the land being obligated forever, you can't do anything to get rid of the airport.
And basically now the estimates from the BOA are exactly that, correct? They're
estimates.
just an estimate.
Right.
So are we voting on asking for an open-ended approval for dollar amount?
Basically, yes, but it's the 5%.
It's 5% of the 21 to 25,000, or the 21,000, or the 80 to 100,000. It's 5%. The airport share
Between,
is 5% of the 21 to 25,000 and 5% of the 80 to 100,000. So it's a total of about, maximum about 6,000 of airport money.
And these estimates came from the Bureau of Aeronautics.
so they're, in your opinion, possibly pretty close?
Well, that's why they gave us a range.
Okay.
Between 21 and 25,000 and 80 and 100,000. That's a pretty good range to get.
Okay. Now, on this beacon thing, we're not voting on the beacon
We're not
thing?
voting on the beacon tonight. But we can discuss it.
Okay, so
That's why it's on the petition. It can be discussed in the public hearing. And I know there's going to be some concerns about that.
yeah, I guess, have you thought about how it could adversely affect the residents around? I don't know. I don't live near the airport, so, but I don't know that, how this beacon's going to
There's
work.
different kinds of beacons. And Dave gave me some examples that just mount on a building, and they wouldn't be any more obtrusive than Standard Process having their lights on their building all night.
Actually, it'd be less because the rotating beacon, they actually point up like this because they're for planes to see, not for people on the ground to see. So they don't, it's not like they're going to shine on the buildings or anything like that. You actually mount them, typically you'd want to mount it 15 foot or 20 foot in the air, and then they go up at a 3-degree angle like this. So that way, when you're in the air at 5,000 feet, 10 miles away, you can actually see the airport. Why? Can I say one other thing about the funding?
Yeah.
Am I allowed? Okay. The other thing is one, with the funding,
Do you want to introduce yourself?
I'm David Dunn, for most of the people that don't know me. I'm the Airport Commission Secretary. But one, as far as the funding, the good thing is from a revenue stream, being as we built the T hangars, the amount we're talking about is less than 1 year's worth of lease or rent on the airport hangars. The other thing is that some of the match, there's been discussion where the PFC wants to pay the match on some of this stuff, specifically the PAPI. So it's very possible that the airport won't even have to pay the $4,000 for the PAPI, because the PFC, because we have pancake breakfast and all that stuff, and they want to do some stuff with that, and that's one of the things that they'd like to do.
That's the flying club.
Right.
Elmira Flying.
Understood.
Yeah.
Yep.
So.
Well, on these projects, then what is the priority as far as
Crack ceiling.
crack ceiling, and followed by,
I'm sorry.
followed by the
PAPI.
PAPI, and then the beacon would be third?
There'll be another hearing for that.
Okay.
The crack ceiling is something that has to be done ASAP.
And I don't know why crack sealing has to go to a public hearing, because you would think it's
It's a
routine
maintenance item, but
Because it's
I know.
because of the
I would-
funding.
federal
We'll have
grant.
to get federal funding. We
grant,
could have
sorry.
paid for it ourselves for a lot less than $25,000. But that's when you deal with the government, you're dealing with their costs.
And then, For those of us, I don't subscribe to the Jefferson Daily Union, so I guess I'm wondering, I know you posted the Class 2 notices apparently in the newspaper,
Yes.
but how come nothing was put up on the posting boards at the same time?
It didn't have to be.
Okay. And then, I guess what I'm asking is a public records request. Please provide documentation showing the total amount of grant assurances that the airport, and by virtue of ownership, the town is obligated for to date.
You have to send me that.
That's fine,
You'll have to submit it.
not a problem.
And I can get that from the BOA.
Okay, thank you.
Any other comments or questions? Okay, that's, I'd like a motion to adjourn the public hearing.
So moved.
Second? Second. Okay, we have a motion to, and a second to adjourn the public hearing. All in favor, raise your hand. Opposed? Okay, the public hearing is over.
I don't vote either way on that.
You don't have any motions. I didn't know. We have to vote, now we have to vote. Board, no, the members do vote. Right.
No, they have to.
Because it's a board meeting. And we vote on the last one. They vote on the first two. Each one. Yep.
Now there's a special town board meeting. So the meeting is called order.
Cowell.
Here.
Miller.
Here.
Rancid.
Here. Have to check the door for,
Doors open.
doors are open. Okay. The town electors will vote to spend the airport share 5% and vote for the approval of the grant money application for crack filling the taxiway. Is that right?
We're voting, the electors are voting to spend the sponsor share,
5%.
5%.
Okay. So we're voting to spend the 5% for the crack filling. It's 5% of the 21 to 25. So we'll just vote by show of hands. If that's agreeable.
Do
So
we have,
Does it have to be a motion first? or-
we would probably have need a motion.
Yeah, I so move that we approve the spending of the 5% sponsorship share for the improvements as described.
This would be the crack filling.
Second.
It's moved and seconded to approve the spending for the 5% of the sponsor share of the crack filling. Correct.
so,
Is there any other discussion or questions? All in favor, please raise your hand. All opposed? Okay. Second item, town electors will vote to approve to suspend the sponsor share of the PAPI system, Precision Approach Path Indicator System. Like to have a motion to that effect?
I would move to approve to spend the airport 5% in grant money to install the PAPI system.
I'll second it.
The second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the spending of the 5%, the sponsor's share of the money to install PAPI system, the precision approach path indicator system. Are there any other questions? All in favor, just raise your hand. Opposed?
Two opposed. Two.
Motion's carried.
I saw one. Was there another one? Okay.
Was anyone else opposed? He didn't get, there's someone, anyone else?
Just the one, okay.
Okay, all right. Okay, now the town board will vote to consider and approve the petition for the airport crack filling and the installation of the PI system.
And the beacon. Yeah, right, and the beacon.
And the beacon.
We're voting to approve the resolution.
Okay, the resolution included the crack filling, PAPI system, and the beacon. And so the town board is going to vote on that.
I'll make a motion to approve the petition, the resolution for airport crack filling and installation of the PAPI system and beacon and beacon tower.
I'll second that.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to approve the petition for the resolution for the crack filling, installation of the PAPI system,
It should be a voice vote, I think.
and the beacon. And this will just be a town board voice vote. All in favor?
No.
No.
Roll
Yeah,
call
roll
vote.
call vote.
Roll call
Sorry.
vote.
Kyle,
Yes, aye.
Miller,
Yes.
Branscott,
Yes.
No one's opposed. Motion's carried.
Second adjourn? Second.
It's been moved to adjourn. And seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you for coming.